A desperate search for survivors is underway through the Southeast and Midwest after severe weather tore through the area, destroying buildings and leaving dozens of people dead and missing. I'm Mallory Rivera in Mayfield, Kentucky, with the details coming up.
Plus, Oklahomans jump into action to help those devastated by the tornadoes.
Many may be familiar with the mining history of Southeast Kansas, but not as many are aware of the women fighting for better conditions. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with their side of history.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Chris Warner. The search continues for a man who escaped from the Ottawa County Jail. According to the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office, at around 1 a.m. yesterday, Charles Chuck Chance escaped from the Ottawa County Jail. Chance was last seen wearing a white t-shirt and gray sweatpants. He's described as a white male, approximately 5'10", around 200 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Authorities say he was last seen in the North Miami area. If you have any information on his location, you're urged to contact the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office at 918-542-2806, or you can call Central Dispatch at 918-542-5585. The Miami Police Department is investigating a shooting in the southeast part of town. According to police, officers responded to a residence on the southeast side regarding a shooting. When they arrived, they found a victim with a single gunshot wound, and that victim was transported by ambulance for further treatment. Authorities are investigating and not releasing any other details at this time. Search and rescue crews are on the ground combing through rubble as they look for survivors of the severe weather that slammed parts of the United States Friday night. At least 4 tornadoes destroyed homes and businesses and left dozens of people dead and missing. Fox News' Madeline Rivera has more from Mayfield, Kentucky.
Dozens of people are dead and communities are in despair after several tornadoes tore through multiple states this weekend. Survivors are still reeling after as many as 4 twisters ripped through the southeast and the Midwest, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. Many in Mayfield, Kentucky, one of the hardest hit areas, are combing through debris, trying their best to recover what's left of their belongings.
It's just devastating, man, and there's nothing that I can just do but, just pray to God and we get this town back.
Kentucky's governor is calling for people who are safe to stay home, so roads are empty for officials to assess the damages and hopefully find more survivors.
One of our challenges is we're losing so many people in this, most of our morgues aren't big enough. So our coroners from all over the state are coming in to help.
In Tennessee, 4 people were also killed in severe storms after tornadoes ripped through the area, destroying homes and businesses. In Arkansas, at least 1 person is dead after a powerful tornado tore through parts of the state. 5 others suffered injuries after the roof collapsed at the Manette Manor nursing home. Residents and staff prayed while they were huddled inside.
When we face destruction like this, we know where we need to look to, and I know people still appreciate the prayers and then all the other support that will come in the days following.
The severe weather ripped across at least 6 states. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear called the tornado the most devastating in his state's history. Reporting in Mayfield, Kentucky, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
With the death toll continuing to rise from Friday night's tornado outbreak that devastated several states just to our east, Kentucky's governor is asking for help from far and wide. He says the state is in desperate need of blood supplies for the victims. Tweeting yesterday, one of the things we can all do to help is to give blood. Spencer Humphrey tells us in light of that, Oklahomans are stepping up to help fill that need, a need we in this state and in Missouri are all too familiar with.
I've got towns that are gone.
If the words of Kentucky's governor sound a bit familiar,
that are just gone.
And if you feel like you've heard the disbelief these people are expressing,
it's just something you don't think is going to happen in your own community.
It's probably because we have lived this before. The scenes out of Kentucky, eerily reminiscent of the scenes people in Joplin lived through in 2011 and people in Moore experienced in 2013.
When other people in our country are going through what we know oh so well in Oklahoma, which is tornadoes impacting our communities, it's the right thing to do to help.
That's why Tara Scott and her colleagues at the Oklahoma Blood Institute jumped into action this weekend.
The Oklahoma Blood Institute was called upon to see if we could further help.
It wasn't always this easy. Up until recently, there was no real network between states to share blood in times of need. That changed after a shooting in Austin this summer.
The Blood Center in Austin asked for support, and they didn't get the support they needed.
She says leaders at the Oklahoma Blood Institute started talking with other blood centers across the country
and thought, we can be better than that. What if we banded together and agreed to support each other?
Now, for the first time, the group of 25 blood centers who joined together are putting their plans into action.
Tennessee reached out to us to ask for our support because they had 17 patients that were transported from Kentucky to Tennessee.
But they still need all of our help.
To ensure that we have blood on the shelf, we need blood donors coming in.
And double check your blood type.
O blood type is actually the blood type that's used when we are in emergency situations like this. So if anyone is hearing this and they are an O, you are vital. You are needed, and we need you to come in and donate.
Pay it forward to the people picking up their lives right now. After all, we've been there before.
And again, that was Spencer Humphrey reporting. And it was nothing like what we saw a couple of days ago. Very peaceful, very tranquil. Nick Kelly joining us.
Yeah, nothing but clear skies throughout the entire day, Chris. That's what allowed temperatures to go from the upper 20s this morning and quite a warm up throughout the day. In fact, let me just run the official numbers from Joplin Regional. 29, the official low, which is what we should be starting out at this time of the year, but back a little above normal, but a good rebound with highs topping out around 55 degrees. We had nothing to track, thankfully, throughout the course of the day in our region and across the entire four-state region overall. Even though high pressure is well to the east of us, it is strong enough to keep that southerly wind in charge, and we will wait until this frontal system comes our way by the middle of the week. We'll break down how that's looking in full weather coming up. In the short term, though, we're seeing upper 30s and lower 40s popping up already, but as long as that south breeze is in place, this is pretty much where we're going to stay as we go into Monday morning. Overnight lows dropping to 39, but that same south wind at 10 to 15 gusts near 20, despite a little afternoon cloud cover crisp, will go warmer with highs near 63. We'll break down the rest of the week here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. 100 years ago today, miners in southeast Kansas faced hazardous working conditions for little pay. And thanks to a group of women, that was able to change. KOAM's Bronte Saratsky visited the Miners Hall Museum in Franklin to learn about a group of women who paved the way for labor reform in southeast Kansas.
Southeast Kansas is known for its history of coal mining and immigrant heritage. But what many may not know about are a group of women in the area who made history. Let's go back 100 years.
Ending our year with a look at the importance and the impact of what these women did here on this very day in December of 1921.
This group of women, named the Amazon Army, were made up of thousands of wives, sisters, mothers, and daughters of southeast Kansas coal miners who were on strike.
We're celebrating the fact that over 2,000 to 6,000 women got together at a time when it was very difficult to even communicate with each other. No internet, no cell phones, and they banded together in solidarity to really march against an unfair labor act and to support their men. And in the end, their march proved to be very successful.
Linda Knoll, a historian at the Miners Hall Museum in Franklin, presented the facts of the March of the Amazon Army to a group who came to learn more about the women. Also in attendance was Andy Kennedy, whose great-grandmother marched in the Amazon Army herself. Kennedy was searching for more details on her great-grandfather when she made a big discovery.
And didn't know anything about my great-grandfather other than that he had been killed in a mining dispute. So wanting to know his family, where they were from. When I did write to the Kansas Genealogy Society, I just sent an email, and then they connected me over the phone. One of the women said, I know you're looking for information on your great-grandfather. But did you know that your great-grandmother marched in the Amazon Army? And I said, what? Right?
That's when she learned about the marches that took place.
Shocking, yeah. I'm actually putting it into a novel because it's just such an amazing story. She was definitely a pistol. of a woman.
What Knoll wanted for more people to know about this group of iconic Southeast Kansas women was able to come to life.
I am just pleased to have this opportunity. We had a speaker series. All year long we had speakers. People came to the museum. They all enjoyed the stories. And it's actually the day of one of their marches where 2,000 to 3,000 of them were out marching.
In Franklin, Kansas, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Now, back then, about a third of the nation's coal came from Southeast Kansas. Well, the Missouri Southern State University Choral Society held its annual holiday concert today at the First Community Church in Joplin. This was the group's first concert in more than a year due to COVID. This was also the first concert for Melissa Belk, the group's new artistic director and conductor.
The excitement level is very high. We've worked so hard and had to postpone concerts that to finally get up and share our music with people is just a wonderful feeling.
Some of the songs performed included White Christmas and a medley of Irving Berlin songs, among many others. Well, Santa Claus is coming to town. In fact, Santa Claus came to Parsons today to the roof of the Santa's Landing. Santa made the visit, as he has for many years. In fact, Santa Landing was created in 2015 to keep the tradition of seeing Santa on the rooftop in Parsons alive. Now, for many years, families and children have enjoyed driving down Chest Street to find Santa waving and talking to every boy and girl.
I think it's kind of one of those things too that it started with something that, my husband and I both, we love Christmas, and it started with a crazy idea he had of, hey, let's do this, let's decorate for Christmas and display lights for our house, and it turned into a huge, this huge ordeal event that we have the community always talking about it from year to year.
And there was free hot chocolate available, which is perfect for a chilly evening like tonight, and kids had the opportunity to write a letter to Santa and drop it in the Santa mailbox. And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Forrest McCool served in the Navy during World War II, his hometown, Jane. And we're proud to recognize Forrest McCool, tonight's four-state hero. And remember, you can learn more about our other heroes or nominate one of your own at any time by just heading over to our website at KOAMNewsNow.com. Later on the KOAM News at 9, it's almost Christmas. We've said that quite a bit, but if you're planning to fly with your presents, got some information you need to know. For your
As promised, we kept things pretty quiet as we wrapped up this week, and not to mention the more sunshine we had and the good southerly breeze that was back in action. We saw temperatures warm up quite a bit throughout the day. Before we break down the numbers once again, this is another quiet look from our latest shot of indigo sky just outside of SANTACON, Missouri. And it was a bit cool the other day, but still not too bad since we dried out and stayed quiet on Saturday behind the rain and the storms on Friday. 47 degrees was the afternoon high the other day. We dropped back in the upper 20s to near 30 this morning, but a good catapult to 55 degrees this afternoon. That is not bad to wrap up the weekend, even though it's back just a little bit above normal. But in terms of the week ahead, here's what I'm keeping an eye on. Rain and thunderstorm chances. We've got a huge shots of those, and I should say more than a few lining up for this week. Despite that, I think temperatures are mainly mild for much of the week, but once we go into next weekend, that is when we're going to take another dip back into the December chill. And I think Saturday's looking quite cold behind Friday's front. We'll break it all down as we roll along, but 7th and range line looking good. We'll call it 41 under clear skies with the south breeze at 8. And even though that breeze is light, it is doing the trip to keep us in the lower 40s right now. And primarily, most of us, upper 30s to lower 40s. You could argue a few spots around Grand Lake sitting in the mid 40s still, but this is pretty much where we're going to hang out as we go throughout the course of the night, even though the breeze is lighting up a little bit. Earlier today, it was at 10 to 20 with gusts running higher than that. Right now, the breeze is at about 5 to 10, maybe pushing near 15, certainly as you work closer to Springfield, but this is the breeze, despite the clear skies in place, that will keep us locked in the upper 30s to near 40 as we go into your Monday morning. But thankfully, again, nothing to track as we wrap up the weekend. In fact, this area high pressure, even though it's well to the east of us, that's primarily responsible for the south wind still in place. I've got a frontal boundary to the north and west. That doesn't want to come into play until we hit the middle of the week. And we got to wait for these two upper level lows to start pushing that front our way. In the meantime, the jet stream is starting to build back to the north, all because of another developing upper level ridge out in the Gulf of Mexico. And that is going to play a role in our forecast for tomorrow. We'll keep things pretty quiet throughout the night. Clear skies to start the overnight. Maybe a little cloud cover from the north and west trying to clip parts of the area. But in general, no matter how you slice it and dice it, we're all quiet to start the day out. Lows dropping back to 39. But from the morning all the way through the day, a south wind sustained at 10 to 15 with gusts near 20. That is going to send us from 58 at noon to afternoon highs right around 63, not just for Joplin, but all across the region while we keep quiet. The jet stays to the north again on Tuesday. Maybe a couple of showers trying to come our way, but we stay mild. Then comes Wednesday. We've got the first front on the way through. Could bring in some scattered showers for Wednesday afternoon. Then I think Thursday morning, early Thursday morning, ahead of that front, we are going to see some thunderstorm chances. Then we're dry the rest of Thursday. Another system on Friday will start as rain. It could end as a rain-snow mix as we turn quite a bit colder behind Friday's system. We'll go 63 tomorrow, 68 Tuesday, 72 on Wednesday. Then dropping to 52 on Thursday, 60 on Friday, mid-30s. I think that's the best we can do for Saturday, Chris, but at least so far we're dry by next Sunday, so we can salvage one good day for the coming weekend with highs of 43.
Next Saturday, I'm just going to stay indoors as much as I possibly can. It's going to be a little too chilly.
A little bit, and I know you don't like that certain four-letter word. It's still looking like slim chances at this point. It's looking like mainly rain for Saturday morning, but the temperature's that cold. Can't rule out a few flakes trying to sneak in.
Those few flakes can just flake off.
I know.
They can flake away. They can flake somewhere else. They can flake anywhere but here.
Well, if they try to stick around, they're not going to last long with 40s on Sunday.
Good point. Good point. Hopefully, okay. All right, I can live with that. Nick, thank you so much. Speaking of that snow, we haven't really seen much of that around here yet. In fact, we haven't seen any of it here yet. But if we do, there could be a shortage of snowplow drivers here, there, and everywhere.
Well,
if you want to fly right through your flight check-ins this Christmas, TSA says don't get too wrapped up when you bring gifts. The agency has some words for the wise when it comes to flying around Christmas. If you want to save yourself and TSA agents time and headaches when it comes to bringing gifts, don't bring them wrapped. TSA says put those gifts in bags or gift boxes to allow for easier checkout if they set off alarms. Travel volumes will be near pre-pandemic levels this December. TSA also recommends travelers enroll in TSA PreCheck to cut down on time spent waiting in line. We've kind of talked about it around here, and this is becoming a problem. Your state and some of ours even may get plowed under this winter by not having enough drivers to operate some important equipment. State departments of transportation say they may not have enough drivers to operate snowplows. Washington, Pennsylvania, Montana, and Wyoming, among others, report having trouble finding enough drivers who have a commercial driver's license. Plowing jobs require it and are also often comparatively low paying and entail working odd hours in dangerous conditions. The shortage could mean more drivers end up stuck on snowy highways or have their holiday travel delayed. Friday, winter storms dumped snow from the Intermountain West to the upper Great Lakes. Well, food prices seem particularly high these days. You're right. In fact, consumer prices in the U.S. have jumped to their highest levels in nearly 40 years. Friday, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that over the 12 months ending in November, food prices at restaurants jumped nearly 6%, the highest jump since 1982. And for those hoping to curb spending by cooking at home, grocery prices are also at record highs, jumping nearly 6.5% during the same time period. That's the largest 12-month increase since December of 2008, with beef prices seeing a dramatic 20.9% spike. The big increases can be attributed to, in part, by higher pandemic-related costs for commodities, labor, and transportation. Coming up, we're going to take you to a real-life gingerbread house in Salt Lake City. Spreading Christmas cheer in a Salt Lake City neighborhood. That was the goal for Virginia Hoffman as she created a gingerbread house. Amy Ney reports.
Giant gumdrops, peppermint swirls, candy canes, a fudge-striped cookie, even a gingerbread man adorning this home in the heart of Yalecrest in Salt Lake City.
It's all homemade, and it's all been kind of figure it out as you go.
Virginia Hoffman says it was a few years ago when she realized her red brick near century-old Tudor home with a few additions could possibly be a real-life gingerbread house.
How would I do that? I wonder if I could do that. How could I make this house into a gingerbread house?
Hardy enough to withstand the wintry weather, but still looking like something good enough to eat.
I started with these gumballs and told my family about it, and luckily they didn't think I was crazy, and we started painting gumballs in the kitchen over Thanksgiving in 2019, and then my daughter and son-in-law helped me to figure out how to attach it to the roof.
And then this interior designer by trade tackled one treat after another, a sweet and satisfying labor of love that she says consumed hundreds and hundreds of hours.
If I'm stressed at work and can't sleep, one of the things I would do is lay in my bed and think, okay, what would be the next good thing? And it would just be a distraction.
She had help from her husband, a professional artist, and even her grandchildren got in on the fun.
It's a really fun project to do with kids and with your family. It's really been a fun experience together.
Her chocolate, brown caulking, peppermint sticks from drain pipes, the gumdrops, upside down planters, and this year's new item, the vanilla wafers.
We made that out of foam insulation, and then my husband melted out the squares with a soldering iron, and then I painted them and got the exact right colors to look like the cookies.
That attention to detail delighting those who drive by, but also thousands online who've liked and commented on this Reddit post shared by her daughter on Virginia's Christmas creation.
I hope that if it can just put a smile on anyone's face, if it can just help a little bit, a little Christmas cheer, that's the whole goal, and it will all be worth it.
No word yet on whether Hoffman's going to transform her house into something chocolatey for Valentine's Day. I'm hoping she does. Coming up, we're going to wrap up this half hour of News at 9 with some Santas making a run for it. Well, the Santas that you're about to see, they sure aren't conserving their energy for the big night. This was the scene on Sunday in Greece where hundreds of Santas took part in Athens' 7th charity Santa Run. Participants ran around the city's Olympic Athletic Center, a distance of a little over a mile. For the first time, organizers provided children's Santa costumes for children to run in. Participants pay the equivalent about $13.50 to run, but the bulk of the money raised comes from corporate sponsorships. This year's proceeds will go to Make-A-Wish Greece, a foundation which is part of Make-A-Wish International and grants the wishes of critically ill children. Last year's run was canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've got 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, the nation takes time to remember author Anne Rice. And a train derails in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Is your carpet stuck?
American author Anne Rice has passed away. Rice died Saturday night due to complications from a stroke. The Gothic novelist was widely known for her best-selling novel Interview with the Vampire, which was later adapted into a movie. Private service is expected to be held in New Orleans at a family mausoleum. Rice was 80 years old. A train derailed in Pittsburgh's Baldwin Borough. Police say a Norfolk Southern train overturned early this morning. No injuries have been reported, and there are no threats or hazards right now, according to authorities. Cleanup operations are underway, and they're expected to take about 24 hours. Several families were displaced in Etna, Pennsylvania over the weekend after scaffolding fell from the side of a warehouse building. Officials say heavy gusts of wind caused the damage. Erica Stanish reports.
The wind has been so bad, it's been swaying back and forth. You heard a creak. I said, something's going to happen.
Scaffolding scattered across Bridge Street Saturday night after strong winds caused it to collapse, tearing down 3 telephone poles and knocking out the power in the process.
You hear the cops kicking at the door telling us we had to get out as soon as possible.
Residents tell KDKA they were forced to evacuate, but are thankful they were able to get out in time.
Stuff is temperamental, our lives are permanent, but It's the fact that we're probably all going to have to start all over.
One resident says her apartment is right where the scaffolding landed and fears how bad the damage is inside.
My whole life is in that building. The last 8 years of my life is in that building.
We won't be able to go in until after they clean everything up and see what all of our stuff is ruined. All my Christmas gifts are in there.
Authorities say at least 6 families are now displaced until crews can evaluate and clean up the area. Etna police say construction was underway at this building as part of the 51st Street Bridge project and is supposed to be a tech flex space when it's finished.
Later on the KOAM News at 9, a World War II vet celebrates his 100th birthday in a big way.
Garlic.
It was nice that we kept things quiet once again as we wrap up the weekend. And with all the sunshine, we saw temperatures rebound into the 50s this afternoon. Again, we'll break down the numbers once we take a nice look at this live shot of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Santacon, Missouri. The parking lot a little bit busy, sure, but the skies were anything but busy. We kept those skies. How about this sky in general? Nice and quiet. What we need to wrap up the weekend, considering what we had to deal with on Friday. 47 was a high the other day behind that cold front that gave us the thunderstorms on Friday. Upper 20s to lower 30s this morning, and then a big jump to 55 degrees this afternoon. If you missed what we're going to watch from the last half hour, I'm actually seeing quite a few rain and thunderstorm chances lining up for the coming week. Despite all of that, I think we're mainly mild for much of this week. We'll have some days pushing into the 60s and 70s for highs, even though we're in the middle of December now. But once we hit the weekend, it will be turning quite colder, with Saturday being the coldest of the days of the upcoming weekend. We'll break down those numbers as we roll along. But as far as the current numbers from Joplin Regional, not too terrible, really. We're at 41 in Joplin with a mostly clear sky and a south breeze at 8, making it feel like 36 outside. It's the same story across the entire region. A couple upper 30s on the board, but still most of us trying to hold on to lower to middle 40s. That south breeze, it was up there throughout the day. This is one big component as to why we warmed up so fast today. A south wind sustained at 10 to 20, gusts running higher than that. But even though that breeze is lighting up, and despite mostly clear skies in place right now, we are going to keep temperatures primarily where we are right now as we go through the overnight and into Monday morning. The big picture at the surface map, even though high pressure is well to the east of us, it is strong enough to keep that south wind coming as we go into the start of a new work weekend, school week for the kids. Our next frontal system, this one, still got to wait until the middle of the week before that can start to head our way. We'll see that come on in once we get these upper lows around Canada and Edmonton and Vancouver to start heading our way. In the short term, the jet's actually lifting back to the north as a area of upper level high, and the Gulf of Mexico starts to come into play. That is going to continue to help warm things up as we go throughout the day tomorrow. Before we go into a mild Monday afternoon, we got to put up with another kind of cold night, but thankfully not as cold as this morning. We'll only drop back into the upper 30s to near 40. I see Joplin dropping back to 39. At south wind at 10 to 15 miles per hour by the morning. Hold steady as we go through the afternoon, with gusts at times pushing near 25. That's going to take us from 58 at noon to 63 in downtown Joplin, but everybody will go into the lower to middle 60s, despite some afternoon partly sunny skies trying to roll on in. We'll be in the 70s for Tuesday, despite mostly cloudy skies and some energy from these upper lows out west trying to give us a few showers on Tuesday. Scattered showers again on Wednesday, and temperatures staying quite mild. Then an advancing front could give us some thunderstorms Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Then we're dry for the rest of Thursday. Another system with rain on Friday, and depending on how fast the temperatures drop and any moisture still around, maybe that weekend system ends with maybe a quick rain snow mix for Saturday morning. 63 tomorrow, 68 Tuesday, 72 on Wednesday, back to 52 Thursday, back to 60 on Friday, 36 for a cold Saturday afternoon, but at least Sunday, that's one salvageable nice day for the weekend. Partly sunny, highs to 43, Chris.
This reminds me of a typical roller coaster. You get that slow climb and then just you drop right off on the other side.
I know, but this time though, it's an uphill climb,
It's a bit of a weird roller coaster, but we'll take the warm weather.
We're going to go up and down a few hills here this week.
Thank you so much. Coming up in sports, Chiefs aim for their 6th straight win against the Raiders. We got highlights and post-game reaction.
Warehouse.
This is the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed.
The Kansas City Chiefs aim to stay rolling today in another AFC West matchup against Las Vegas. The Chiefs beat the Raiders once already this season back in Week 10. First play from scrimmage, Josh Jacobs fumbles, Mike Hughes picks it up and returns it 23 yards for the touchdown. And that's pretty indicative of how this game goes for the Raiders. The Chiefs' defense forces 5 turnovers in the game, and the offense rolls as well. McCole Hardman, 44-yard pickup. Later in the drive, Mahomes hits Darrell Williams, 23 yards for the score. Chiefs up 14-0. Second quarter, Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets in from 5 yards out. Then right before half, he's back at it for his second touchdown of the day. With the ball again, Mahomes connects with Tyreek Hill deep downfield. Chiefs settle for the field goal here. Fourth quarter, Derek Gore breaks loose, 51-yard touchdown. The Chiefs roll by the Raiders 48-9.
I think as a unit, we're just trying our best to get better, each and every week, and really give our offense as many possessions, as possible. I thought we've been doing a great job just getting to the quarterback and then taking the ball away. So, which both of those things, results most of the time in Patrick getting the ball back. So that's really just been our mindset, just trying our best to be a unit that complements the rest of the team.
Lexi Miller, a 2018 graduate from Carl Junction, is returning to the four-state area. Miller signed with Pittsburgh State Volleyball for her final year of college eligibility. During her high school career, she was a 3-time first-team all-conference performer and a 2-time all-district performer and earned all-state recognition in 2017. She went on to play 4 years of Division I volleyball at the University of Central Arkansas. Miller is excited to spend her last season in a gorilla uniform and be closer to home.
I entered the portal, and then within 3 days I got a phone call and said, "So you want to be a gorilla?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely, no question about it." I was actually really excited whenever Pitt kind of reached out, because I knew that going back home and then being from CJ, playing for CJ, and then being able to represent this area playing for a college level also, again, really is nice to show the little girls that play know that it's possible.
The Missouri Southern men and women had a light week this past week with just one game on their schedule. A conference matchup against Rogers State on Saturday. Both teams picked up wins and are a perfect 3-0 in MIAA play. Lacey Stokes led Missouri Southern over Rogers State with 18 points and 8 assists. Lane Skiles had a season-high 16 points. Stan Scott also with the season best this weekend. He dropped 26 points in the Lions' win and added 10 rebounds. The PSU women returned from a 2-game road trip with 2 wins. Pittsburgh State improves to 7-2 on the season, following a win over Northeastern State on Saturday. In Saturday's game, the Gorillas were led by Sydney Crane with 16 points and 6 rebounds. Tristan Gegg finished with 13 points and 4 assists. The men fell to the Riverhawks this weekend, but Antonio Gibbons had a nice day, 10 points, 12 rebounds. Cameron Hoofner followed with 9 points and 8 rebounds. Arkansas and Oklahoma met on Saturday at a neutral site location in Oklahoma, a preview of what will soon be an SEC matchup. The 12th-ranked Razorbacks aim to protect their undefeated record. In transition, Muja Gibson buries the 3. Razorbacks down by 10 early. Chris Likes drives the lane, hits the floater. Arkansas trying to cut their deficit a bit, but next possession, Gibson answers with another triple. Later, Groves takes the pass and hits one more. Sooners up 6 at half. JD Note to Adis Toney for the dunk, but more long range from the Sooners. Oklahoma hands Arkansas their first loss, 88-66. In the NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder aim to bounce back after a loss to the Lakers on Friday. The Thunder hosting the Mavericks this evening. Dallas gets the road win 103-84. Shea finishes with a team-high 18 points. We're back after this.
When you get A decorated World War II veteran hits the century mark in San Diego, receiving well wishes and living a simple philosophy. Fox's Clara Benitez has the story.
Yeah, come over here and get behind me and take a picture.
No matter the age, you always take a picture.
Come on back here and let's take a picture.
With the birthday boy.
How old are you?
99.9.
Born in 1921.
Tomorrow it will be 100.
Paul Bottoms, a decorated World War II hero, celebrates his 100 years of life.
Happy birthday to you.
Paul landed on Utah Beach 2 days after D-Day, was in the Army and the Navy, retired from that service, and so we're very grateful for everything that he did for our country.
His service an example for generations to come.
We absolutely love what you guys did, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. We don't forget, we will never forget. And I just want to thank you guys for setting that bar so high that we have to strive every day to be our best.
When those military guys saluted him, it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming.
Paul's daughter, Nina Gordon, says he's never had cancer, a stroke, or a heart attack. He's as healthy as a 100-year-old can be.
He always laughs and says, good, clean living and no conscience. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, he's got good stock. I hope I follow suit.
And after seeing it all this century, Paul says,
just live and let live.
Reporting in El Cajon.
I'm just beyond words right now.
Coming up, a SantaCon, not a SantaCon, in San Francisco. Well, if you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear a Santa hat. Over there in the Bay Area, Union Square was bustling Saturday afternoon as revelers celebrated SantaCon. The event is part pub crawl, part costume party, and this year things looked a little different. Not everyone was dressed as Santa. They even spotted Mrs. Claus and even a few elves. SantaCon is also popular in other cities like Boston and New York. Cameron is in the studio tonight. Cameron, would you ever dress up as Santa if you had the opportunity to do a pub crawl? He says he wouldn't. Are you sure? It's a pub crawl. He's just smiling. I guess he's not going to do it. All right, I guess Cameron won't be Santa, but that's okay. Cameron, don't worry. Santa's still coming to your house. I promise. And that is our time for now. Hopefully Santa will make a visit for all of you. We'll see you back here next weekend. Thanks for making us part of your night.